Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kashif Boothe podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Steven St.Pierre. We met all the way back in 2019 at the 2019 Black Web Fest, where his short film Corey was screened, and it has done amazingly well since the last time I saw him anyway. And so, yeah, welcome to the show, Steven.
Kashif, man, thank you again. It's a pleasure to be here, man, and it's good to see you again.
Yes.
My UK family. So I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, like I said, guys, we met in 2019 at the Black Web Fest, and your film Corey screened, and it was great. I remember just all of us kind of really got on very well. I remember my short film Black Men Stand also screened. I think it was before you guys, because all the really amazing ones were towards the end. So you had I don't know if you remember Jason Pierre, like he had that one called The
Yeah,
Essential
the
Donut.
donut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real
Yeah. I
good.
had him on actually a couple episodes ago, and he's doing
Oh,
so
nice.
well now. Like he's actually writing on this show on the CW called In the Dark now. So he's doing
Oh,
really
nice,
well.
nice. He's out in
Yes.
LA, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
out in LA. Yeah. So it was really cool to like catch up with him and stuff like that. And then obviously we bucked up again in American Black Film Festival like a couple
Right.
months later in June. Because wait, Black Web Fest was in April, and then we was able to hook
June
up a
was the
bit.
big fest.
Yeah,
Right.
in Miami and South Beach and stuff like that. So it was great. We didn't get to see each other a lot, but I had an amazing time. How did you find it?
Yeah, I had a good time because that was my first time going to ABFF
Okay,
actually.
cool,
So
cool,
yeah,
cool.
so it was fun to be that first time down there, learning the ropes of how to maneuver, all the different screenings of different
Yeah.
events, parties, whatever, just like trying to just figure it all out. But it was a good time.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great time. I mean, I thought it was so well organized and done. Like everything was so close to each other, and there was nothing what you didn't really miss out on. There was so much to like take in, and if you didn't
Right.
leave feeling inspired, then I don't know what was going on with you. You know? So
Absolutely. Yeah. You had to come down and soak all that energy up. That just,
yeah,
I mean, the excellence, but the black excellence was
yeah,
just, it was
yeah.
just different.
Exactly. I mean, because for us in the UK, we don't really have that black Hollywood scene. So that's
Mhm.
why we're always in the US. We're trying to get some of that energy. And so we
Right.
left the group of people I was with, there was about probably 8 of us. And so the group we were with, like they're all either writers, directors, or actors and stuff. So we all left feeling inspired and definitely brought that back.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah, so it was
beautiful.
really cool.
That's
So yeah,
beautiful.
so yeah, so tell me about like Corey. What How did you come up with the concept of that, and like what happened after I last saw it screened?
Right. Yeah. With Corey, the initial genesis of it all was really trying to write something for myself and be more of a creator producer, let alone just an actor. 'Cause at that point, I had been acting, for a couple of years and auditioning, going through that grind. And fortunately enough, I had a few people around me who kind of started to push the idea in my mind about like producing, creating your own, and up until that point, I hadn't created anything on film, or anything like that. I had been directing at a comedy theater. So I was doing a lot of sketch comedy, writing and directing on stage, short form comedy, but never, wrote or directed film or produced film. So I just say, you know what? I've been on sets. I see how things are done, and I see, films that I've been in or TV, whatever, how it looks and how it should be done. So I said, all right, I'm going to embark on this journey for myself. And there's something about that, like naivete, that when you don't know too much, you don't really stop yourself from doing things because you don't know what you don't know. You just go for it. So it wasn't until I got into it that I was like, oh, okay, this is like, it takes a lot to do it. But, so when I said, all right, when I made the decision, I'm gonna do my own thing, it was like, okay, what is it? What is that gonna be? And I wrote a couple like short stories that didn't see the light of day. And I think, a lot of writers, creators do that. They kind of just like write drafts and try to see like if this is something viable to make. And sometimes it doesn't. So, the first couple of things I wrote, I scrapped them. And they kind of say write what you know, or things that kind of come more organically is easier, especially your first time. And that's kind of what happened with this. I was just literally laying in bed, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. For you guys, that's like what, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. But
Kinda, yeah.
right. So it was like 1, 2 a.m. And all these images just kind of came crashing into my mind, and it brought me back to like when I was a kid growing up, kind of like right in the it was like the start into like the height of the crack epidemic, unfortunately. And I just remember like seeing how, people that were just like cool, functioning citizens of my neighborhood, kids that I played ball with, like their parents, just like, all good, great families. All of a sudden, one parent is in the streets begging me for money. I'm like 9 years old and they're asking me for money so they can go, use. And so all those images and thoughts came back in my mind. And then that connected with another memory of, at the time, a real close friend of mine. I saw how her uncle, who was, a product of the drug, infestation in our neighborhoods in New York City, fall victim to it. But it wasn't just how off he was as far as the drug addiction. I started to see how it deteriorated the family. Every day I would see how stressed, she would be, and how her grandmother, which is his mom, would be. And just like the emotional roller coaster they went through in just a span of a year, being in their household, seeing how it went from, they were like very sad and despair to, nervousness, and then to like anger, and then resentment, to the point where they just didn't want anything to do with him. I remember one of the days where they were like, he would come to their house and beg them to let him back in, like just beg them. And when they finally caved, 2 days later, he disappeared, and like their TV was gone and other appliances and stuff, all because of his drug addiction. And that's what they were afraid of, from letting him back in. So putting all that together and seeing all that in my mind in that one like night, I got up and said I had to write this story. So I really wanted to reflect the family members and what they go through when they have their loved, because essentially they're a victim of their loved one's addiction. And we don't really see, well, to that point, I didn't really see a lot of stories being told from that perspective, especially like a single father with, his wife out on the streets trying to, find herself and shake this addiction. And now what does it look like with him being home with his daughter and have to like keep the family together? So that was the genesis of Corey, of just showing that dynamic.
No, that's really good, because I remember watching it and it was very powerful just to really see, because it's always powerful to see a black man really step up and look after the family and the child, and whilst the woman is suffering, because essentially a drug addiction is a disease. So when
Right.
you look at it from that perspective and you really delve into it, it's not, people think, oh, you're taking drugs, that's a choice. Yeah, it's a choice to take a drug, but once you get it, when you're addicted to it, that is a disease, because anyone can take anything and be addicted to it. And so that's what you really got from Corey, and that's why it was like very powerful. And I remember we all had like a discussion about everyone's films, and that
Right.
it stood out because that is very relatable to so many people, especially in the neighborhood you grew up with, or people I know as well. Like, it's really a theme what you want to see, because when you see people, when you see most stuff about black people where it's talking about drugs and stuff, it's really just about being on the street selling it, being the pimp or whatever.
Right.
But when
Right.
you look at the issues and how it causes, and the domino effect of what being a drug addict causes to your family and your children and your partner, that's what you have got to look at. So that's really good to hear the backstory behind it and stuff like that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I
That's
love that
exactly
how you really wanted to create something for yourself, because I'm always saying to actors, as a producer, right producer myself, like, you have to understand the business behind it. Yeah, it's all cool, you want to act, but in this industry, just doing one thing won't put food on the table. You have to
right.
like get a side job. So what was it like for you writing, and you directed it as well, didn't you, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so how was that? What was it like writing and directing your own and starring in it, for the first time?
Yeah. It was very difficult. I'm not gonna hold you up. It was very hard, but if anyone wants to take that challenge, I don't knock it, because you do learn a lot, not only about yourself, about what you're capable of, and you can learn like what facet of it that you really take to, and what going forward, like what you would really latch onto. So with my experience, um, writing it wasn't writing it wasn't too difficult. Because like I said, the story kind of almost just like wrote itself in my mind, and I just kind of like just poured what was on my heart onto the paper, and then just kind of like tweaked it from there. So I went, I had a few drafts of the script, but initially the first draft was the story. It was like small minor changes here and there, but it kind of came out seamlessly, thankfully. Um, and then when you're directing and you're writing and directing, it makes it a little easier because you'll be directing. So the writing could be a certain way where you understand what you're trying to get out of it. And it's going to change, anyway on set, because that's just what happens, right? Any story is written 3 times at minimum. When you first write it, when you're on set directing, and then when you're editing, it's going to change. And then being a producer on it, also I had a co-producer, co-producer on it, so we produced it together. That I would say implementing that element into it made it even more difficult, because writer director, once you've written it, it's already written. So that's really not kind of like spilling into production. But you're directing and acting, which is already difficult in itself creatively. And now you're worrying about the production element about it, So you're on set looking over your shoulder to make sure lunch is here on time as you're trying to do a scene with your drug addicted wife as she's trying to claim she's clean. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. So it was really, it was challenging. I was up for the challenge, but I didn't know what the challenge was going to be until I got into the thick of things. So, what I would say to that is anyone who wants to embark on that journey is to really give yourself, grace, because it's hard. And especially in the acting side, even if you're not producing, if you're directing and acting, you got to remember as a director to give your actor self the room to also be ready to perform, which I felt like, for like a scene, I didn't really give myself that, it still came out well, but just me knowing what I could do, it's like I didn't give myself that grace of like, as a director, like, okay, Steven, the actor, are you ready? All right, I'm gonna give you a little bit more time, like just really talking to myself and giving myself that space. But I had a great team, so that really helped things, go smoothly. We pretty much ran without any kind of hiccups when it came to production. I did learn about, transportation, making sure transportation is great, because that's a thing that, I didn't really think about.
Yeah.
And those Ubers and Lyfts and things, they rack up if you don't,
Yeah.
yeah. So next time, I'm definitely just gonna hire a PA that drives and get a van, and they can just pick people up,
Yeah.
But yeah, but other than that, that was probably the most difficult part. Is just really giving yourself as an actor the space, because the producer side is kicking in where like, okay, I don't have much time in this location. I'm gonna have to hurry up. So now you're rushing your artistry as an actor because you want to get through the day, and maybe you're just not there yet emotionally. You got to give yourself that time to switch gears and switch brains. But all in all, I think I'm better for it, and anything going forward, now I know how to really attack it and approach it, whether that's me doing all 3 again, or just, directing and acting, or just like writing and producing, which I kind of, said to myself, it'll probably be just like maybe 2 and maybe not like all 3 when it comes to like directing, acting, producing. It'll most likely be like either directing and acting, or writing and producing, or like acting and producing, where I'm not like the lead, but I'll be producing it, so that I know, it's not all on my shoulders as the actor as well.
Mhm. That's good to hear. I mean, I understand the pressure just being, okay, writer, director, producer, that's already too much for me as well. So acting on top of that, like, no, I don't know, I couldn't switch it off, like, because I'm never switching it off. You're trying to direct a scene and you're thinking, okay, like you said, oh, lunch on time, okay, we need to be out here, like out of here in like 7 o'clock. How am I going to finish this and that? So yeah, so it's tough. So I
The
totally
only
can
thing,
relate.
the only thing that kind of helped me when it came to the acting side was because I wrote it, so I know the story intimately, and I've had it for a few months. Because from when I wrote it, production didn't start till maybe about 4 months later from when I wrote it. So I had that 4-month span to
Mhm.
really embody the character and know who this person was, you know. So that obviously was a benefit for me.
Yeah, that's really good because I mean, as a writer, you do kind of really, especially as a director, you really should really kind of like really get into the idea of the script, and because it's your passion
Mhm.
and your passion project, so you know
Right,
it better than anybody else anyway. So at the same time, you're like the best person to direct it anyway, unless you find someone who really gets it, and that's very hard
right,
to. Like me as a producer, like I will come up with concepts and ideas, and then I get writers attached, and I script
mm,
edit, and then I will get a director. But I vet them.
right,
I'm like, okay, this I write a whole treatment and a mood board. I'm like, okay, this is what I want. Do you get
yeah,
it? Are you gonna do it? Because I have a specific vision. You need
right,
to get the vision, and then I want you
right.
to, and I want to be able to like safely put this in your hands to
Hmm.
do what I want you to do. So I totally understand, totally
Yeah, they
get
gotta
it.
understand. They gotta
Yeah.
understand the vision.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So how did you fund it? I mean, from script to screen, I mean, that's quite quick, like 4 months. How did you
Right.
fund the film?
I went the, you know, the crowdfunding route. I just, yeah, you know, I started after I wrote it, and I called my producer friend, Ruya Coleman, shout her out. Um, that's the first thing she said to me. She's like, "All right, we need money." She's like, "The only way we're gonna do this right is with money." You know, I was like, "All right," you know. So I just started kind of like looking to people around me who had made, you know, short films or made content, see like what people did. And so I saw like, you know, the crowdfunding route, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna try that." And I just did my research and just kind of really looked into like the best practices, how to really set it up, and what's you know, what a successful crowdfunding campaign looks like. So that's why it took 4 months. I wanted to make sure I prepare, launch it, and then really give it the time it needs to be able to raise the funds. So we did I think 45 days. Yeah, we did 45 days, and we met our goal. Thankfully, you know, I think everybody just seeing, you know, I think everybody just seeing me wanting to do something and showing the passion to like make this project is what made everybody buy into it. They just wanted to see me succeed, you know. So I'm so grateful for all, you know, my supporters for, you know, donating and helping and supporting, because they believed in me. You know, they believed in what I was trying to do. They believed in the story, and they believed I could, you know, deliver a great story. You know, when many, you know, there were some who maybe didn't see the vision or didn't believe, but you know, the ones who did, they believed, and I'm very thankful for that. So that's how we're able to fund it. You know, crowdfunding, and you know, some money out of my pocket, of course. You know, you got to put some skin in
Yeah.
the game.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so yeah, we were able to get it. We are able to get it done because of that. You know,
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I recently did a crowdfunder as well. It's tough. I've done
yeah.
two actually, but they're both very tough. I'll never do it
Mhm.
again. But yeah,
I did it once, and that's it.
I will never do it again because I've
Yeah.
done the whole self fund and stuff, and I really wanted my most recent project to like, yeah, bang and like really be
Mhm.
amazing. I already had money I was going to put into it, but I was like, okay, cool. If I can get like £6,000 for
Right.
us, like, yeah, I can match the 5,000 I had saved, and yeah, that didn't happen. So
Uh,
just had to like, yeah. So it's tough. It's tough. So like, I
mhm.
get it. I get it. But that's cool. That's cool. So then after Black Web Fest, I saw like Corey was getting into loads of places. You started winning awards and stuff. So like, what happened next after that?
Yeah, yeah. Like you mentioned, you know, we got into, I think, I don't know exactly, but over 20 film festivals,
Wow.
and we won, I think, about 7 or 8 awards in
That's
those 20 plus film festivals. So, you know, I had no expectations, honestly, Kashif, no expectations. You know, I just made this thing thinking, okay, I made it, I got the story. I cried on my last day of production. I was like, finally we did it, you know? And I was like, all right, what do we do next? I didn't even have like money aside for submissions, because I really didn't even like expect, like, I was like, I'm gonna make this thing, I'm gonna do like a little screening for friends and family, and you know, that's just what it is. I still don't even really understand or know like the um the magnitude of the project. You know, like we took a little while to edit, and then we edited it, and you know, I'm watching, I'm like, all right, this is, you know, like I like it, you know, but you still don't really know
Yeah.
until,
Yeah.
you know, other people or what have you see it. So, you know, I had set up a private screening with friends and family, and I had my friend like host it for me, like host the night while, you know, I kind of just like laid back or whatever. And then he watched it. I sent the link to him early so he can watch it before the night of the screening, and he called me immediately and was just like, "Bro, like this is wow!" Like this, and that let me know like, okay, I got something here. So as soon as he said that, I went on the festival like, to check out like exactly what was going to do. Like Film Freeway just went on there, started submitting, and we got to a bunch of festivals. It was miraculous how many festivals responded to it. And like you said, after the Black Web Fest earlier in the year, we went on to screen like all over the U.S. and Canada. Actually, in Montreal, I met a couple of people from from across the
Oh,
pond.
that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
out
cool.
there too. Was there? I met some cool people from UK out there too in Montreal, so that was fun. Um, and yeah, we just all those festivals were amazing. Meeting so much great people, like you mentioned earlier, the dialogue around the film at the festivals are things that I cherish. Having those conversations with the viewers and audience. Winning awards were great. I don't necessarily do it for accolades, but they're nice. When you get them to get recognized or acknowledged, it's nice. I'm more happy when the people involved get recognized, like Chantal Maurice, my lead actress. She won 2 Best Actress awards. She's amazing in the film.
Mhm.
My DP got nominated for Best Cinematography. So those things were what really brought joy to my heart, because you put a team together and they're pouring their all into it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
when they're receiving some type of accolades, that just makes you feel that much better that, their work and them coming on board and sacrificing their time meant something. And, that just was all the better for it. So yeah, so we did that, and some other cool things with the film. I was able to like screen with, there was a local chapter of a fraternity, is I believe it was the Alpha Omega Alpha fraternity. They were doing like a screening of like black films, and they reached out to me, so I screened it among like hundreds of different fraternity and sorority members. So that was amazing, like to show the film on Zoom with them and then have like a talk back with me, and how touched they were and all the stories, and how it resonated with people. So cool things like that the film has just
Yeah.
brought me to. And this is what, 2 years, right? So for 2 years this film has just really been connecting me with a lot of people, amazing people, and just yeah, I've just been riding that wave and that high for all this time with this film. Even as recent as just last week,
Wow.
you know, I was asked to screen my film at an event at the Billie Holiday Theater, at the restorative tent behind the Billie Holiday Theater here in Brooklyn. And that was dope, to show it there and receive that love, and have the conversation about the story, and talk about it. So, I mean, Kashif, man, I never thought this film would like, bring me through all these, benchmarks in my life and things like that. But I'm just grateful, man. I really am. Like you can't predict these things. You can't plan for them. You just make something because you're passionate about it and you want
Mhm.
to tell a story, and what will happen with it. And I didn't get in its way. I can't say I did this, something beyond me that's bringing me to this thing, and I'm just like following that path and just going for the ride.
That's really good to hear. That's really inspirational. I feel like anyone who's listening will be really inspired by that, because sometimes, like, when you create products and you create like film and stuff like that, it's hard to think, okay, what am I going to do with it? What's the strategy? And you aren't really taught this. You don't know how to do it. How are you going to get your film in the right eyes? Or, and it's really about just, and like you said, like making sure people see it and then see what their reaction is to it, and then you say, like, okay, maybe this can go somewhere. But you have high hopes of where you want it to go, but you just never really know. And so
Right.
for people to resonate with it so well, that means it's a strong body of work. The fact that 2 years later you're still having screenings of it, so that
Crazy.
it kind of just tells you the quality of the film and what it is. And then I saw it's on Amazon Prime at the moment anyway, so
Yeah.
guys, if you want to go check it out, you can watch it on Amazon Prime for free, or if you've got the package, you can pay for it and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's out there, so it's amazing for that to even happen. So that's really good. So,
Thank you.
since Corey and stuff, what's been going on? Because I've seen on your Instagram, you know, you were just on that show FBI, which is on, correct me if I'm wrong, CBS. Is it
On
CBS?
CBS. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
CBS, because we it does air over here in the UK
Mm,
as well.
nice.
My mom loves all that stuff, so I see her watching that stuff all the time. So yeah, so I need to maybe pull up the episode to catch you in that episode as well. So like, what's been up to? I mean, that's a great gig to get. So
Yeah,
how did you
thank
get
you.
that, and like, what was it like being on set and being in that show?
Yeah, no, it was amazing being in that show. You know, that's here that's almost like a rite of passage to be on any like Dick Wolf entertainment show. You know, Dick Wolf does Law and Order. He's done all the Law and Orders. He does FBI. You know, so it's just like a rite of passage. Being a New York actor. So I was blessed to be on that show. You know, and since the pandemic, everything has been self-taping. You know, you tape yourself at home and submit. So that's pretty much what it was. You know, my representation got me the audition. I submitted a tape, and they booked me right off the tape. You know, it was one audition, no callbacks or anything like that. So that was surprising to get that, that booking email. And what was funny was I had to like do my own stunts. It was like a small stunt, nothing crazy. So the director reached out to me like maybe like a few days prior to the shoot date to just introduce herself and talk about like the stunt and everything. And when she emailed me, I'm like, wait a minute. So after the email, she signed off by saying, it was great to meet you and speak with you. And I said, it's great to meet you again. And then she responded back immediately, like, I knew it was you. I knew, like, I wasn't too sure we had met 2 years ago ourselves at a
Oh,
festival because of Corey. Like,
wow,
look at that, right? Like, it's
wow.
crazy. So yeah, so we had met at the Soho International Film Festival. I had Corey screening there, and she had a pilot screening there that she directed. That was amazing, like
Mhm.
amazing pilot. It was actually a pilot presentation, so it was like a 15-minute of a full hour pilot
Okay,
that
wow.
she screened, and it was so dope. So I'm just like, yo, this woman is amazing. She's talented. She's going places. 2 years later, she's directed countless TV shows, and I wasn't surprised.
Mhm.
And so when she emailed and we touched base, we're like, oh wow, like look at that, like full circle. 2 years later, I'm working with you. We met each other. So when I got to set, first thing she came, she ran over, give me a big hug, and was just like, so that was really cool, man, really cool to like, you hear these things, especially being like, I'm still relatively new to the business and industry, and you hear these things about like relationships and this that, but it's true. Like you meet people along the way, and if you're just like, and when they say relationship, like I don't like to use the word network. A network feels a little icky, like you're just trying to like meet people just so you can get like in.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know it's really just relationships, like you and I, right? And we
Mhm.
just saw each other, just talking, blah blah blah, and just build some type of rapport. I'm starting to see the importance and effect of just like showing up, being a good person,
Mhm.
and just showing good work, and just yeah, and that'll just take you a long way, because with her, that's what it was. We just met 2 years ago, had a nice conversation. Her husband was the writer, so it was like her and her husband. So all three of us kind of just like talking about writing and filmmaking and story and character and stuff like that. I don't know if I was booked on a project because she knew me, but I know I was a familiar face. And I'm sure that has something to do with just like the positive vibe she might have got watching my audition. Like, oh, you know what, this guy, I know this guy. Like, whatever feeling that invokes in you. Sometimes it's subconscious. You don't know why you like a person.
Mhm.
You met him 2 years ago and you had a little nice conversation. So, and that's all it takes.
Mhm.
So that I think that's really important. So doing that show is fun. I don't want to say what I did, because if people go watch it, I wanted to see what it was. I don't want to say like what happened to me, in the show.
Okay. Okay.
I'm dropping subtle hints here, but you know, check it out. FBI Most Wanted, on CBS, season 2, episode 12, I believe. And not even just for me. It's just an impactful episode, and she directed the hell out of it. And the writers wrote an amazing story, very timely, about like Black Lives Mattering and everything like that. So it's just a powerful episode that everyone should watch. Yeah. So I did that. Before that, I was on HBO's High Maintenance. That was cool to be on that project. I worked for HBO, and that was fun. I got to do two of my passions. An actor is one, and a basketball player because I played basketball growing up, so I got to like combine the two of those. And I'm just continuing to write and co-write. I'm co-writing with some amazing people that I've met at festivals and things like that too, where we say we got to work with each other one day. 2 years later, now we're like, okay, we got something, let's do something. So we're going to be shooting some things in the fall, and I'm directing some projects of others. So this is gonna be like one of the few times that I'm directing other people's writing, which I haven't done too much of yet. So this will probably be like the second or third time. So that should be fun. And just continuing to grind, when it comes to auditioning and put myself in position to just be as successful as possible.
Sounds good. I mean, you raised some really good points about networking, which, like, I always say, like, I remember when I first started in this industry, I remember I was advised to, I said this a lot on my podcast as well, like, I was told by this white guy, he was like, just go up to people and ask them for a cup of tea. UK, we love tea. I don't. But like, they were like, go up to them and be like, okay, do you want a cup of tea? And it's like, that's not me. Like, I can't go up to people, random like execs and stuff in the office, like, oh, okay, do you want some tea and stuff? No, like for me, I'd rather gain organic connections
Right.
with people, whoever I just get on with, and that's how we'll bond. And then that's how you will create genuine friendships and then allies in this industry, because it's all about allyship as well. And
Mm-hmm.
like Issa Rae, I always quote her, it's always about the power of networking across. So
Right.
going, being at film festivals and not just, oh, okay, I'm networking with you to work with you and for us to better our career, but it's like, yeah, you want to do that, but it's about creating a good connection with somebody and just allyship. So at least if you see an opportunity, because like, oh, look, what, I know someone who'll be sick for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of came full circle with you with being on FBI Most Wanted. You and the director got on well, then she remembered you, and it's like, okay, cool, look, there's a now great opportunity for you. And that's the power of networking, but it's about doing it organically, not just trying to, because people can sense when you're just trying to get something from them, and
Right.
then that's kind of where it's inauthentic, and then that's where it's not going to go anywhere. People like to work with people they like. And
Absolutely.
so it's
Absolutely.
about who you know, not what you know. You could be the best producer, you could be the best director, whatever, but somebody would rather hire somebody they know, they like, and then they're gonna have a good time with on set. Because
Right.
set can be, as you know, 12 to 15, 14 hours day on
Yeah.
set. I need to
Yeah.
be around people who I get along with.
Right.
Okay.
And
I
it can be
don't want
hectic
to like
too.
kill
Yeah.
you in like the next scene, literally.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so you need to be around people like that. So that's really good to hear. I mean, it sounds like you're busy, you got a lot going on, because you kind of went into my next question, which was going to be what you got next coming up, but it
Mm-hmm.
seems
Yeah.
like you got a lot coming up, and that's good. I think it's good to, because you're an artist, we're creative, so for you to be able to be still like directing other people's work, that's great. Because
Right.
hey, when times are like, okay, low, and you're like, okay, I'm not getting roles, but I can still do this and make some money like that, that's what it's
Right.
kind of about. So it's great to hear. I mean, being an actor or being a writer producer isn't just you're going to be in one thing. You're kind of multi hyphenate, and in this industry you got to know everything. You just have to, I feel like. So you can't just be
Yeah.
stuck in one thing. So that's really good to hear. So like, where can people find you and stuff? Like, where can they watch Corey and other work you've been in and stuff like that?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier Corey's on Amazon, so you can definitely just go in there, search Corey, Corey, and it should come up. If it doesn't, just put like 2020, so like the year, so everyone knows like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. So Corey is on Amazon. I have another series. It was more like just like a fun passion project I did during the pandemic called Room for Rent, where I play myself and then I play another character, a roommate of mine. Every episode, the roommate does something crazy that makes me have to get another roommate. So that's on YouTube right now, and I'm actually in the works of season 2 for that. Yeah, that I'm writing, and I'll be directing and soon. So that'll be out. So you can just keep up with me on Instagram at I Steven St. Pierre, or my website istevensstpierre.com. And yeah, just jump on the journey with me, and let's ride this wave together.
Nice, nice. Well, thanks again, Stephen, for coming on the show. I feel like this was a great conversation. Hope you guys are inspired. And I mean, definitely keep out for Stephen. He's probably going to be on another show soon or his own show where he's the lead, you know? So keep a lookout. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for listening. Follow me all on socials at Kashif Booth or Kashif Entertainment or the Kashif Booth podcast. Stay tuned for the episodes coming soon.